Hey, what's up, y'all? And welcome back to the Invisible Dad Podcast. This is the podcast for all the dads out there that show up every day, but still feel unseen, unheard, and unappreciated. If you're listening right now, I want you to pause for a second and really let this sink in. I see you. I see the hours you spend worrying, the drive to see your kids, the frustration that comes when every request to connect is denied. I see the late night thoughts, the what ifs, the questions you can't answer. I see the way your heart aches when you leave your child after only a few days together and you know it'll be another week before you get to see him again. I know what it feels like to have your child for just a handful of days a month and then to only connect through a FaceTime screen that just feels too small. I know what it feels like when every request to see them, every attempt to stretch your time is met with a no or we have prior engagements. I know how crushing it is to hear "I want mom" when you're right there trying to connect. That combination of heartbreak, frustration, and helplessness can feel unbearable. And I want to tell you something right now. Those feelings are valid. They're human. They don't make you a bad dad. They don't make you any less committed, any less present, any less loving. They mean you care fiercely and unconditionally. Today's episode is for dads in situations like this, for dads who feel powerless, heartbroken, and frustrated because the system or circumstances or even the co-parent seem determined to make connection difficult or even impossible sometimes. This episode is for you. We're going to talk about hope, presence, and connection, even when the world tells you no. We're going to explore how to protect your energy, maximize the moments you do have, and build a bond with your child that no schedule, court order, or rejection can break. By the end of this episode, I want you to feel seen, supported, and ready to show up fully because your child doesn't just want you, they need you. So let's get into it. All right, let's just get this out of the way. It sucks, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Having only a few days a month with your child can feel like you're being forced to watch your kid grow up from behind a window. You're there, but you're never fully there. You're connected, but only in fragments. Every prior commitment, excuse, every rejected request, every "I can't," it all hits you deep and it hurts. It's like your access to your own child is constantly being filtered through someone else's control. And then there's the heartbreak. Your child saying, "I want mom," when you're right there. The frustration of missed milestones, the calls that are cut short, those little moments that should be yours, that should be a part of building your connection, just slipping away. And every time it happens, it stings, it cuts. It makes you question yourself. Like, did I do something wrong? Like, does my kid not love me? And here's the truth I want you to hold on to. Your feelings are valid, but your worth is not measured by the time you're allowed. The anger, the sadness, the frustration, those are all normal. Those are human. They are proof of your love. And while it's tempting to let the pain define the relationship, there's another way. Focus on what you can control, on the moments that are yours to claim, on the love you can pour into the time that you have. Think of it like this. Even a short window, an hour-long visit, a quick FaceTime call, holds monumental potential. That hour can be filled with reading, laughter, stories, teaching, or even just sitting together and just being present. The consistency of your presence, your reliability, it sends a far stronger message than just time alone. It communicates, "I'm here, I show up, and you matter to me." Limited time doesn't make you a lesser parent. It makes your intentionality even more critical. Every choice, every moment, every interaction becomes amplified. That tiny window, that's where your influence grows. That's where your bond strengthens. And let's not forget, your child notices. Even if they can't say it, even if they seem indifferent. Every hug, every laugh, every story you share, it registers. Those moments create safety and trust and love. They remember consistency, not hours. They remember who showed up, who stayed calm, who offered presence even when it was hard. That's your legacy. That's your impact. So yeah, it's frustrating. Yes, it's painful. And yeah, it's unfair. But your worth as a father isn't dictated by permission, schedules, or anyone else's behavior. It's measured by how you show up emotionally, physically, and mentally in the time that you're given. The takeaway here is simple. Your relationship is defined by presence, not permission. And every time you show up intentionally, you're winning, even if no one else sees it. All right, now let's take the next step. The reality of limited time is painful, no doubt about it. But how you feel about the situation doesn't have to dictate how you show up for your child. It's easy to get stuck replaying every no, every excuse, every rejection. That mental loop drains energy, steals joy, and robs your child of the full presence you could be offering. Every minute you spend angry about what you can't control is a minute you aren't fully there. So the first shift we need to make is moving from frustration to presence. Step one, let go of the if-onlys. Stop thinking, if only I had more time or if only they cooperated. These thoughts are human. They're normal, but they drain energy. They don't change anything. Instead, focus on the moments you do have and how you can make them meaningful. Step 2, anchor yourself in what your child needs most. They don't need every weekend. They don't need perfect parenting. They need you, fully engaged, fully present, and fully loving. Even a 20-minute FaceTime call can be powerful if you give it your full attention. Your energy, your tone, your focus, these are more important than the amount of time. And step 3, create rituals that you control. Maybe it's a nightly check-in call. Maybe it's a song, a story, or a game you always play together. Those small routines communicate consistency and reliability, and children thrive on it. These rituals become touchstones, proof that no matter the distance, your love and attention are always unwavering. Step 4, reframe your mindset. Presence is greater than permission. You don't need approval to be impactful. You don't need permission to create memories, model love, or build trust. Focus on what you can control: your energy, your behavior, and your consistency. Let go of what's out of your hands. Step 5, notice the long-term effect. Your child may not articulate it now, but they feel it. Years from now, the memories, the trust, the safety, and the connection you built in limited moments will outweigh any argument or scheduling conflict. Presence over frustration creates lasting impact. So this week, make it a promise. When it's your time, be all there. Be patient, be focused, be loving. Your child will notice, remember, and carry it with them forever. Now, let's get real for a minute. Some dads aren't just dealing with distance. They're dealing with resistance. Every request feels like a negotiation. Every message feels like it needs to be proofread by a lawyer before you hit send. Every attempt to connect with your child feels less like parenting and more like asking permission to exist. And when that becomes your reality, it wears on you, not just emotionally, but mentally. You start overthinking every word. You replay conversations in your head at night. You wonder if you should push harder or back off or say something different next time. I remember during my own court situation, I was told, and I quote, "As you know, I am the primary custodian and I make decisions about his hair and everyday decisions." Now understand this, that sentence wasn't actually about hair. It was about hierarchy. It was about reminding me where I stood. It was about positioning one parent as authority and the other as optional. And that moment right there will bait you into a dangerous mindset. The mindset of trying to prove you deserve to parent your own child. You start crafting long responses. You start listing reasons. You start defending your love like it's on trial. But here's what I had to learn. And I had to learn it the hard way. You can't argue someone into fairness. You can't debate someone into respect. And you can't force cooperation from someone committed to control. Every time you try, you drain the very energy your child actually needs from you. So instead of fighting harder, I changed strategies. Step 1, document. Don't debate. I stopped sending emotional paragraphs. I stopped explaining intentions that were already clear. I stopped trying to get the last word. Instead, I documented dates, times, requests, responses, short, neutral, and factual. Because arguments live in emotion, but courts and patterns live in facts. Documentation isn't about revenge. It isn't about building a case in anger. It's about protecting your reality from being rewritten. When tension is high, memory becomes selective, yours and theirs, but written patterns don't shift. And here's the unexpected benefit. Once I started documenting instead of debating, I felt lighter. I didn't have to carry every frustration in my head anymore. The record carried it for me. Step 2, set boundaries without bitterness. A lot of dads think boundaries mean confrontation, and they don't. Boundaries are calm, repeatable sentences. Please communicate through text so we both have clarity. I'll follow the court-ordered schedule. I'm only discussing matters involving our child. I won't engage in arguments. No attitude, no sarcasm, no hidden jabs. Because once emotion leaves the conversation, control loses oxygen. Some people rely on reaction to maintain power. If they can make you angry, defensive, or desperate, they steer the interaction. But when your responses become predictable, short, and respectful, the chaos stops feeding itself. You're no longer participating in conflict. You're operating within structure. And structure frustrates manipulation. And step 3, focus on your circle of influence. This is the one that changed my mindset the most. I couldn't control what was said about me. I couldn't control decisions made outside my parenting time. I couldn't control tone, attitude, or narratives. But I could control what my child experiences with me. Consistency, routine, calm correction, undivided attention, play, conversation. Kids don't evaluate parents based on legal titles. They evaluate based on emotional reliability. While someone else might focus on authority, you focus on safety, and safety builds attachment. Over time, children don't remember who had more control. They remember who felt like home. Step 4, protect your peace before contact. This one is critical and most dads skip it. You can't move directly from conflict to presence. Your nervous system doesn't reset that fast. If you've just read a frustrating message and immediately pick up your child, you're still carrying tension they didn't create. So build a reset ritual. Sit in silence for 2 minutes before pickup. Take 10 slow breaths in the car. Pray. Walk around the block. Turn the radio off and let your mind settle. Your child should never feel like they have to emotionally recover from adult tension. They should only experience your steadiness, because a calm parent regulates a child's nervous system far more than any rule ever will. Step 5, lean on support. Isolation magnifies frustration. You start questioning yourself. You start wondering if you're overreacting. You start internalizing things that were never yours to carry. Talk to other dads, mentors, a therapist, someone grounded who understands custody dynamics. You don't need people to fuel anger. You need people who reinforce perspective. Because once you realize many fathers walk this same road quietly, the weight shifts from personal failure to shared experience. And shared experience builds resilience. And here's the truth every dad listening needs to hear. A resistant co-parent does not define your fatherhood. A custody label does not measure your impact. And control does not equal connection. You are building something deeper than authority. You're building trust, brick by brick, pickup by pickup, conversation by conversation. One day, your child won't remember the wording of legal agreements. They'll remember how they felt with you. So remember this line. You don't win by proving your character. You win by living it. And consistency over time is louder than any argument you could ever make. All right, let's talk about the part that hits the hardest for a lot of dads, and that's the clock. Because when you don't live with your child full time, time feels different. You don't measure weeks, you measure handoffs. You don't measure days, you measure hours. And for me, my situation looks a little different than most dads in this position. I don't get weekends. I get Monday through Wednesday every other week for about 53 hours total. So while a lot of parents build memories at birthday parties, Saturday morning cartoons, or weekend outings, those opportunities almost never fall on my time. Every time something big comes to town, a monster truck show, Blippi's visiting, or special kids event, I already know before I even check the calendar. It's probably not going to be on one of my days. And requests for extra time always get denied. My son loves monster trucks, and I would love nothing more than to take him to a real show and watch his face light up. But I miss those moments, not because I don't want them, not because I didn't try, just because of the schedule. So I had to learn a mindset that every parent with limited time eventually learns. You don't get to choose when your time happens, but you do get to choose what your child experiences inside it. I have 53 hours, so I make those 53 hours count by filling them with things he genuinely loves. We go to the park and just run around until he's tired, drives his little RC car. We visit his favorite children's museum where he can touch everything and run around and play to his heart's content. We go to the science center and let curiosity just take him away. Sometimes we go to the aquarium and just watch him stand there just mesmerized by the fish. Are those giant once-a-year events? No. But to him, they're magical because we're doing them together. So, step 1, plan for presence, not perfection. When your time is limited, there's pressure to make every visit amazing. You feel like you have to compensate for everything you miss. You feel like you need to create highlight reels every pickup. But kids don't need spectacular days. They need attentive ones. So during my weekdays, we do real life together. We explore places he loves. We repeat favorite activities. We laugh at the same things again and again. And while we're doing it, I'm fully there, phone down, mind present, laughing with him instead of near him. Ordinary moments plus full attention equals core memories. Step 2, create small sacred rituals. Because my schedule repeats every other week, routine became powerful. Kids feel stability through predictability. So our time has rhythms. Maybe the same breakfast, maybe the same bedtime routine, maybe the same silly game before brushing his teeth. These rituals tell him, with Dad, life is steady. Even though the calendar separates us, the experience stays familiar. And years from now, he may not remember which Wednesday it was, but he'll remember what being with Dad always felt like. Consistency builds emotional security stronger than frequency ever could. Step 3, focus on connection, not control. Limited time can make you want to correct everything quickly. You feel pressure to teach every lesson before drop-off comes again. But relationships grow through safety, not urgency. So instead of turning my time into a checklist of parenting tasks, I make it connection time. We talk, we laugh, we explore, we let moments breathe. Because kids don't measure love by how many instructions you gave. They measure it by how safe they felt being themselves with you. And connection makes your guidance last longer than constant correction ever will. Step 4, capture and preserve moments when you live apart from your child. Memories carry emotional continuity. I take photos, I record little videos, I hold on to the funny conversations, not for posting, for remembering. So on those days we're not together, I can still say, remember when we saw the fish? Remember the big slide? Tell me about that truck again. Memories stretch presence across distance. They remind both of you the relationship didn't pause. It continued. Step 5, own the transitions. Drop-offs matter more than people realize. If you act defeated, they feel worry. If you act angry, they feel tension. So I stay steady, predictable hug, calm voice, certain goodbye. Not pretending it's easy, but showing it's safe. Because kids need to trust that separation doesn't mean disconnection. And here's the truth about limited parenting time. I may miss the monster truck shows. I may miss the weekend events. I may miss big moments I wish I could give him, but I refuse to let that mean he misses a present father. I can't control the calendar, but I can control the emotional weight of every minute inside it. Your child might not grow up remembering how often they saw you, but they will remember how consistently they felt loved when they did. So don't chase quantity, create meaning. And over time, those meaningful moments stack into a relationship no distance can weaken. Limited time parenting doesn't just test your schedule. It tests your emotional endurance. Because the hard part isn't only missing time, it's what comes with it. It's the denied requests, the last minute changes, we have prior commitments, the conversations that feel less like cooperation and more like resistance. And if you're not careful, those moments follow you everywhere. You carry them to work. You carry them into your quiet time. And worst of all, you carry them into your parenting time. And now the little time you do have gets overshadowed by the frustration of everything outside of it. And that's why protecting your energy isn't optional in this situation. It's survival. Because your child doesn't experience the custody arrangement. They experience you. Follow these steps to help you protect your energy while staying consistent. Step 1, set boundaries. A lot of dads think endurance equals strength, so they tolerate everything. Every unnecessary argument, every emotional jab, every baited conversation. But access to you is a privilege, not an entitlement. Protecting your energy isn't selfish. It's responsible parenting. You don't have to answer every message immediately. You don't have to engage every accusation. You don't have to defend your character daily. Some conversations deserve a response. Some deserve documentation. Some deserve silence. Boundaries are not punishment. They are emotional filters. They allow you to stay stable enough to be the parent your child actually needs when they're with you. And step 2, maintain routines. When life feels unpredictable outside your home, structure inside your home becomes powerful. Consistency tells your child, this place is safe. This place doesn't change based on mood. Maybe dinner happens around the same time. Maybe bath and bedtime follow the same order. Maybe mornings start calmly instead of rushed. Routines don't just help kids, they help you. They anchor your mindset. They shift your focus from conflict to caregiving. And over time, your child begins associating you with steadiness and not chaos. That emotional association lasts far longer than any disagreement they overhear elsewhere. Step 3, don't take negativity into your parenting time. This one is hard. You read a frustrating message, and then 20 minutes later, you're supposed to be patient, playful, and fully present. Your brain is still processing conflict while your child just wants connection. So you have to create a reset habit. Before pickups or calls, pause, take a breath in the car, sit silently for a minute and pray, walk around the block. You're not ignoring reality. You're separating roles. Adult conflict stays outside the parenting space. Your child should never feel responsible for repairing your mood. They should only experience your calm, your attention, and your care. Step 4, lean on your support system. Isolation magnifies stress. When you keep everything internal, small frustrations go into heavy resentment. Talk to somebody, another dad who understands custody schedules, a mentor who keeps you grounded, a therapist who helps you process without reacting. Support doesn't make you weak. It keeps you steady. You don't vent to your child. You don't vent through arguments. You release pressure in safe places so you can show up peaceful in the important ones. Strong parenting often depends on strong processing. Step 5, remember the long game. This is the perspective that keeps you from burning out. Right now, it feels like every moment matters because time is short. But relationships aren't measured in hours. They're measured in patterns. A child doesn't form attachment from one perfect weekend. They form it from repeated emotional safety over years. Every calm pickup, every consistent routine, every reassuring conversation. You're building familiarity, and familiarity builds trust. You might not get the most time, but you can become the most reliable presence. One day your child won't analyze schedules. They'll remember who felt steady. And here's the truth about protecting your energy. You're not doing it for comfort. You're doing it so your child never has to carry the emotional weight of adult conflict. Consistency requires emotional endurance, and endurance requires boundaries, routines, support, and perspective. So when things feel heavy, remember, you're not just surviving a schedule. You're building a relationship that grows quietly over years. And steady love, repeated often enough, becomes unshakable. All right, let's talk about finding joy in the little moments. When you're a limited time parent, it's easy to focus on what's missing. The missing weekends, holidays, missing spontaneous Tuesday nights, missing the big events that everyone else seems to take for granted. If you're not careful, your mind can become a scoreboard, tracking everything you didn't get. But here's what I've had to learn. Joy doesn't live in the big moments. It hides in the small ones. And if you don't intentionally look for it, you're going to miss it. Use these steps to help you find that joy, even if it's in tiny moments. Step 1, notice the small wins when your time is limited. You start to realize how powerful tiny moments really are. A random hug in the middle of the kitchen, a laugh that comes out of nowhere, a phrase they repeat that becomes your thing. Those are wins, not court victories, not schedule changes, connection wins. Maybe it's your child running to you at pickup. Maybe it's them asking you to read the same book again. Maybe it's the way they say your name. Those are signs that your presence matters, signs that your consistency is landing, signs that your relationship is growing, even if the calendar says that it's small. You have to train your mind to celebrate those, because if you only measure joy by access, you'll always feel behind. Step 2, celebrate connection, not perfection. Limited time parents feel pressure to make everything magical, but perfection is exhausting. Connection is simple. It's sitting on the floor and playing. It's laughing at nonsense jokes. It's letting them help you with something, even if it slows you down. Your child doesn't need you to orchestrate flawless days. They need you emotionally available inside ordinary ones. And when something goes wrong, when plans change, when they get cranky, when the day isn't smooth, don't let that cancel the joy. Connection doesn't require perfect behavior. It requires presence. Sometimes the most meaningful moments happen after a meltdown, when you stay patient and they settle into your arms. That's not Instagram worthy, but it's relationship building. Step 3, document joy. One of the most powerful things you can do in a limited time parenting is preserve moments. Take those photos, record the quick videos, write down the funny sentence that they said, not to prove anything, not to show anyone else, but to build continuity. Because when the quiet days come, and they will, those memories remind you that the bond is real. You can scroll back and see the smiles, hear their voice, relive that moment. And when you're apart, you can say, hey, remember when we did that? Remember how hard we laughed? Memories extend connection across distance. They tell your child, our story continues even when we're not in the same place. Step 4, reframe the narrative. Limited time does not mean limited love. Read that again. The world sometimes equates love with proximity, but love is measured in intention. There are parents who see their kids every day but are emotionally absent. And there are parents who see their kids part-time but are fully engaged when they do. You don't control the custody structure, but you can control the emotional climate. If you reframe your mindset from, I don't get enough time to, I'm going to maximize the time that I get, everything changes. You stop chasing what you don't have and start building with what you do. And that shift protects your joy. Step 5, embrace gratitude for what you do have. Gratitude is a discipline. It doesn't ignore pain. It balances it. Yeah, you wish you had more time. Yeah, you wish you had certain moments, but you do have something powerful. You have influence and connection. You have shared laughter. You have hugs. You have inside jokes. You have memories. And when you focus on those, joy grows. Gratitude keeps bitterness from taking root. It reminds you that even in a limited structure, something beautiful is happening. And here's the truth about joy in limited time parenting. It won't always show up in fireworks. It shows up in eye contact, in giggles, and small hands reaching for yours. Those little threads, repeated over months and years, weave something strong. Trust, security, attachment. One day your child won't remember how often they saw you. They'll remember how they felt when they did. And if they consistently felt joy, safety, and love, then you did your job. So don't overlook the small moments. That's where the real magic lives. All right, dads, let's pause for a minute and really take this in. I know this episode hit close to home for some of you. Limited time with your child, co-parenting challenges, feeling unseen, unheard, unappreciated. I see you. I really see you. Your worth isn't measured by hours or approval. It's measured by presence, energy, consistency, and love. Your child notices and remembers the moments you do have. The small wins, the rituals, the attention, the patience. That's your legacy. So protect your peace. Show up fully. Celebrate the little moments. Lean on support. And remember, you don't need anyone's permission to be a great dad. This is the Invisible Dad Podcast. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And thank you for being here. I see you, I hear you, and I appreciate you. Till next time, Keep showing up. Peace.